Are we recording? Are we recording? Hi everyone, it is Whitney and welcome to another Fashion Student Friday. Today we will be talking about draping and what it is and a little bit about how you do it. I'm not going to really teach you how to drape a top because I'm not a professor, but I'm going to teach you the kind of fundamentals of what draping is, because when I first showed up my freshman year to FIT, I showed up to my draping class and I was like, what is draping? I had no idea. So today I'm going to tell you what it is so you don't end up in the same boat that I was in. If you like videos like this, please like and subscribe and let me know so I can continue to make them. When you are setting out to make a garment, there are predominantly two ways that you can make the pattern for it. I don't think they're the only ways, obviously, because you could do like laser cut and some like more interesting things, but basically the two ways you can make garments are either by draping it or flat patterning it. Draping is when you actually take either your fabric or muslin and you drape it on the form you're working on. When you're flat patterning, you're taking a sloper, which is a piece of kind of like heavy cards, kind of like poster paper. It's called oak tag, and those have the exact measurements, the important measurements I talked about in my last video, of the form you're working on, and then you can manipulate the sloper and the paper on the flat. Either way you decide to do this, if you're going to drape it, if you're going to do it on the flat with pattern making, you have to end up with a pattern. So if you're going to drape on the dress form, you have to make all of your marks of the important things that you're going to do to the garment. And once you take it off, you're going to transfer that onto a draft, and then that will be made into a pattern. So either way you go, you're going to end up with a draft and a pattern. I personally love draping. I like the feel of the fabric, or even if it's not fabric, if it's muslin, I just like to feel the drape. I'm very 3D touching. Pattern making, I have a love-hate relationship with, but there are technical designers out there who are bomb at pattern making, and it's amazing what they do. Draping versus pattern making, neither of them is more important than the other. They're both very, very important and integral to each other. When you first start out draping, you are going to use a muslin. I mean, even really good designers still drape in muslin unless they're working in a very specific material that you can't mimic in muslin. If you're going to work in a silk chiffon or a georgette or an organza, you're probably not going to drape in muslin. Or if you're going to work with a 4-way stretch fabric or with a cut and sew knit fabric, you're not going to want to use muslin because the stretchability qualities are not mimicked in a woven muslin. Get it? What is muslin, you ask? It is this, M-U-S-L-I-N, muslin. It is basically a very simple cellulose cotton woven fabric. It's pretty cheap. I think for 5 yards, it's about maybe 20 bucks, 30 bucks. I don't know. I haven't purchased like a whole bunch of muslin in a really long time. You have selvage, which is a thicker kind of bonded end on the length grain. So selvage, this is a ripped edge. So one thing that is really, really, really important, especially for all of you first and second semester students, is you need to block your muslin. I mean, I hate blocking muslin, but I do it. But I've kind of like fake blocked it like pretty much all the time, and I've kind of gotten by with it. If your professor is grading you on neatness of your muslins, you're going to want to block it properly. And what I mean by blocking is, so I'll tell you what blocking is. But first, let's get a little piece of this set up to do a front bodice drape real quick. So your professor is going to give you specific measurements that you need your muslin to be cut at and blocked at. But for now, we're just going to kind of wing it. So you're going to want a little excess. So let's say this is your neck. The professors usually do a whole bunch of excess. You don't need that much. Just let's go like here, and then you're going to measure down to like your waist. So let's say this much. So then you're going to take your scissors and give it a little snip. Now, since this is woven, it rips. So this is the length that we need. And then you're going to go, you want to go past center front, so you can mark center front. And then you're going to go a little bit past your side seam. So let's go like right about there. So this, we're going to snip right here and rip that down again. Now you still have selvage on one end. You're going to want to snip that off as well. The reason we do that is because this selvage edge is a little bit tighter than all the other edges, and sometimes it'll throw off your drape. So we're going to snip right here and rip it right off. So now what we're left with is a big rectangle of fabric. So then next you're going to want to block this out and then iron it. So blocking means you're going to lay it on a flat surface where you can line up one or two of the edges with a perfect square, and then you're going to kind of move it and stretch it until it is exactly square. Come on over, baby. So you can line it up to the edges of your table, and then you're going to kind of stretch it and move it until it is a perfect rectangle or square or whatever shape you are working with. Then ideally this should be ironed, but I don't have an iron, so we're just gonna mark it and go with it. Right, so now we are going to mark some guidelines on our muslin. I'm going to use my 18 by 2 ruler, and then I am going to go 2 inches in from the edge, and this is going to be my center front. Your professor will tell you where they want you to mark all your different levels, but for today's sake, I'm going to go 13 inches down, and we are going to true line, square across, and that is going to be our bust level. All right, so we have center front and then bust level. And now I'm going to basically show you a very, very simple drape.
Okay guys, so now you're going to want to line up your center front line to the center front of your form and also your bust level. You can put 2 pins at the apex to trap your fabric so it doesn't move around on you. Also leave a little ease in the bust level as well. Now we're going to clip out for the neckline and then snip down into the muslin just a little bit so the muslin can contour around the neck of your form. And now you can smooth up the shoulder and then have all the fullness in the bottom, or you can redistribute that fullness between the bottom and the top. So I think for your first bodice that you're going to do in your first semester, it's going to be a bodice kind of like this, where you have a shoulder dart and 2 darts along the waistline. Now don't be afraid to pin and repin and really feel the textile and feel where those darts should go. Your professor will tell you exactly where they want you to put them and how thick they should be, how far apart they should be, but just feel the fabric and see what it's telling you that it wants to be. You can put pins along the vanishing point of your darts, so when you take it off the form, you know where they end. Now you're going to want to get a pencil and mark all of your darts and your shoulder, your armhole, and your side seam, and along the dot along the waist. If you take it off the form, you're going to lower the neckline, close your darts on your shoulder so you can make a straight line for your shoulder seam. And then on the bottom of the armhole, you're going to drop it and take it out just a little bit and mark all of your darts, close your darts, fullness towards center front, I think. Maybe I forgot. And then you're going to want to do the contour of your waistline with your French curve. And now I'm giving it a 1-inch seam allowance along the waistline and side seam and shoulder, and a 1/2 inch along the neckline and the armhole. And now I'm just going to cut out along the seam allowance, and we are going to put it back on the form to see if it fits. Now this is the really rewarding part where you get to see your garment kind of come to life, and it starts to take shape from here. So hopefully it fits and it looks good.
And that's basically what draping is, but a lot more professional and a way lot better than what I just did. So I was just showing you this for demonstration's sake. It is definitely not how I work and definitely not the best. I wanted to give you a quick idea of what to be expecting and kind of what draping is. So if you liked this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. I feel like a freaking spazoid.